Before the rise of the Dragon Throne, before the Great Wall stretched across the mountains, there was chaos. For more than 2 centuries, the ancient land of China was torn apart not by invaders, but by itself. 7 great kingdoms, Qin, Chu, Qi, Yan, Han, Zhao, and Wei, each dreamed of uniting the realm. Each claimed heaven's favor, each crowned its own king, and each sharpened its swords against the others. This was the Warring States period, a time of spies and scholars, assassins and emperors-to-be. It was a world where alliances shifted like sand, and where philosophy and bloodshed walked hand in hand. It was a struggle not only for power, but for the mandate of heaven, the right to rule all under the sky. The Warring States began in the ashes of the Zhou dynasty's decline. For centuries, the Zhou kings had ruled by divine right, but their authority weakened as local lords grew powerful. When the central court lost control, the land broke into fragments. Small fiefdoms became great states, and those great states became ambitious kingdoms. By the 5th century BCE, only 7 truly mattered. Qin, in the harsh western frontier, disciplined, ambitious, forged by law and iron. Chu, vast and wealthy in the southern valleys, proud of its culture and mysticism. Qi, the merchant kingdom by the sea, rich in gold and cunning mines. Yan, in the cold northern plains, strong but distant. Zhao and Wei, both born from the shattered Jin state, fierce rivals and military powers. Han, small but strategic, caught between giants. These were the 7 warring states, locked in an endless cycle of diplomacy and destruction. But while war raged, something extraordinary happened. Ideas began to bloom. Philosophers like Confucius, Mencius, Xunzi, and Han Fei sought to bring order to chaos. The 100 schools of thought debated morality, law, and destiny, shaping Chinese civilization even as the battlefields burned. It was an age where swords decided borders and words decided empires. In this fractured world, no one could trust anyone. Alliances lasted only as long as they were useful. Spies, envoys, and assassins became as deadly as armies. The state of Qi rose first, wielding wealth and diplomacy like weapons. Wei became powerful through military innovation, creating armored chariots and disciplined infantry. Yet even they fell prey to the cunning of Zhao and Qin. The kingdom of Zhao produced some of the era's most brilliant generals, such as Lian Po and Zhao Xie, who turned small forces into unstoppable walls of discipline. But they faced a new rival, one whose ambition was as vast as its mountains, Qin. In the far west, behind its great rivers and harsh terrain, Qin was transforming itself. Under the reforms of Xiangyang, Qin abandoned old feudal traditions and built a new kind of state, based on legalism, merit, and absolute control. Soldiers were rewarded for killing enemies, not for noble birth. Farmers were taxed but protected. The law was ruthless, but it worked. And so Qin's armies grew cold, efficient, relentless. As the wars dragged on, the land turned red with blood. Millions died, cities were burned, walls rose only to crumble again. Famous battles like Chengping in 260 BCE saw entire armies annihilated, where Qin's general Bai Qi slaughtered over 400,000 soldiers of Zhao after their surrender. It was not a victory, it was a warning. Fear of Qin began to spread like smoke across the continent, but Qin's king Yingzheng, who would later become Qin Shi Huang, saw only destiny. Through cunning diplomacy, he turned his enemies against each other. Through spies, he planted betrayal within their courts. And through sheer discipline, he built an empire of steel and will. By the late 3rd century BCE, the other kingdoms were exhausted. Chu's vast lands could no longer resist. Qi's wealth could not buy peace. Yan's distance offered no safety. Qin's generals advanced like storms, crushing Han, then Zhao, then Wei. One by one, the 7 kingdoms fell. In 221 BCE, Qin conquered the final holdout Qi, and Yingzheng declared himself the first emperor of China. Qin Shi Huangdi. The warring states were over. For the first time in history, all under heaven was united under one crown. Qin built roads that stretched like veins across the land, standardized currency, language, and laws. He began the first version of the Great Wall, linking old fortresses into one massive barrier against the northern tribes. But peace came at a cost. The same iron discipline that forged unity also bred fear. Books were burned, scholars silenced, dissent crushed. Qin's empire, born from conquest, would last only 15 years, but its shadow would stretch for 2,000. The warring states left behind a legacy of brilliance and blood. It was a time when cruelty and creativity lived side by side, when the clash of swords shaped not only borders, but ideas. The philosophies born in that era, Confucianism, Taoism, legalism, and Mohism, became the foundation of Chinese thought for millennia. The states that perished left behind walls, bronze, poetry, and ghosts. But they also left lessons about ambition, unity, and human nature. The unification by Qin Shi Huang was both an ending and a beginning. It proved that even from chaos, order could be forged, but also that power, once seized, must face the test of time. The warring states were more than a struggle for land. They were a mirror, reflecting how civilizations rise, fracture, and heal again. And even today, in the ruins of old fortresses, the whispers remain. The sound of marching armies, the echo of kings who dreamed of ruling all under heaven, the age when 7 kingdoms fought for one crown, and only one emerged to shape the destiny of China.